What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, I'm here with a book review. Let's get it. Okay. For somebody to say they don't really like short stories like that, I sure be reading them. I don't know what it is. Typically, I might read like 1 to 2 short story collections a year. This is probably like my fourth or fifth one this year. Typically, I might read 1 or 2. And they don't rank that high for me typically. This year, the short stories, they've been hitting. I still would prefer a full-length novel, but the short stories have been hitting. And so when I read this, Hitting a Straight Lick with a Crooked Stick by the Zora Neale Hurston, I was like, okay, let me do what I typically do when I read short stories. I'm going to grab me a little pen and jot it down in my notes about which stories I like the most, so I can talk about my most liked stories in the collection. That's typically how I roll with it. I'll talk about like the themes of the book in general, like the common theme throughout all the short stories, but I'll point out my favorites. So, I'm tabbing my favorite stories. I'm like, okay, yeah, that one. I got about halfway through. I said every story is tabbed. We just gonna talk about all of them because yeah, and we not passing them forward in the introduction. They were heavy hitter too. So let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into it, okay? I got my notes off to the side. I might be checking them from time to time. I'll be making notes and never even look at them while I'm doing this. But anyways, we're gonna start off with the editor's note. The editor's note, then the forward, then the introduction, all hit. They all give a really good idea of who Zora Neale Hurston was as a person, what her writing style was. Even though I knew quite a bit of it, it was some stuff in there that I learned. It gave a good sense of like the things that she cared about. The fact that we all know she loved her hometown, Edenville, Florida. Talked about like some of the struggles that she had with other writers during the Harlem Renaissance era. Talked about some of her other like more well-known works. Talked about like so many things that give you such a good backstory and introduction to the work. It was good. I knew it was gonna be good when I read it, and quite a bit of this, they had a good little bit. It ain't a little introduction. It was like, it was quite a bit, y'all, quite a bit. But yeah, talked about that, went into like some details, kind of like some backstory, so you can make sense of some of the things that they might talk about in this book. It kind of explains some of the things. Then we got into it, okay? The first story was John Redding Goes to Sea. Okay, this is about, the main character's name is John Redding, and it's really a story about, okay, wait, I feel like I just feel like, okay, wait. Before we get into it, let me talk about the themes of the book in general, of the collection, the short story collection. All of her books are centered around the Black experience. All of these short stories are centered around a Black experience. They're all centered around what's it like in America for Black people versus white people. So the stories all follow themes of like Black marriage, living in the South, then moving to the city. The differences of how like white and Black people see the world, the differences in how they approach the law and religion, the difference between community, how community is even positioned in the Black community, like what place does the community take in the Black experience, and parenting, marriage, just it's very rich in all the things that you love from Zora Neale Hurston. In that dialect, very authentic, nice, her signature voice, even if it's a short story. Okay, now that I said that, let's get into it. John Redding Goes to Sea. That one is about the main character, John Redding. He is just like his daddy, he's a man. He's a boy who became a man, and he wants to go. He want to leave his hometown. He want to go to sea. He want to see the world. He wants to experience things outside of what he grew up in. And his dad understands it because his dad feels the same way or felt that same way. He understands where his son is coming from. And his mama is not. She like, you my son, you staying here with me. And so the whole story is just talking about like what that looks like, what happens to John, what happens to his mom and his daddy, and why that's important. I think what this made me think of, it's kind of hard to not bring up other writers during the Harlem Renaissance era. But I thought about Langston Hughes when I read this, ironically, with A Dream Deferred. That's what that reminded me of. Like, yeah, very, very interesting. Then you also get to see the dynamics. Again, all of these have an element of everything that I mentioned earlier. That one, it has a cool dynamic of John's parents and then the women in John's life. Yeah. All of these two have a lot to do with masculinity and what makes a man, what's manly, what's conquering something look like. You know what I mean? The next one is A Conversion of Sam. Okay, so this one, Stella, is a highly sought after woman. Okay, beautiful. She works as a waitress. And then you got the main character, the male main character, Sam Simpson, who come walking his way around with his trained dog. He like what he see. He like, I like you and I want you. And so he wanted her. And everybody knew who Sam was, but he ain't had no reputation for a man you really wanted to be with. He was a gambler, slick talking somebody. And it just goes like, you just see him trying to do what it takes to get his woman, And then, yeah, you think about it. It makes you think about the main character, the woman main character, Stella. What's it like for her in her place of employment, how she's viewed? It makes you think about the fact that people can change if they want to. They are capable of change, and I like to see that. And another theme that's heavy in this collection is how women are constantly sought after. They're always like this high commodity, but they're never valued. They're highly sought after, which in itself would show you that there is an inherent value, but at the same time, very much devalued in their life, in society, in their homes, at work, church, wherever. Like, so that duality was interesting too. So yeah, The Conversion of Sam. Okay, next. I'm going to order, y'all. A Bit of Our Harlem. This one is about this hunchback teenage boy who he hustling. He trying to put food on the table. He trying to eat. He basically has to take care of himself, and he meets a girl / woman. I feel like it's a little unclear, who is in a similar situation where she has to take care of herself. They both are essentially orphans, and you just kind of get to see that level of understanding between them. I thought that was cute. It was good. That one's actually really short. Then you have Drenched in Light. This is about a little girl named Isis and her grandma. Her brothers are included too, but really it's talking about Isis and her grandma. Isis is, if y'all have ever seen What's Love Got to Do With It, about Tina Turner's story, and how it starts off and she the little girl in the church singing and screaming, and the lady carried her out by her ear.
Jesus told me, he said it's time to let my little light shine. Jesus told me. Whoa!
Young lady, what is wrong with you? You just cut out all that wild gyration and blues shouting in here. It ain't the 4th of July picnic, and you ain't singing with Mr. Bootsy Whitelaw and his slide trombone. Show the Lord a little more respect. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Bright light, from bright light.
Bright light, my little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Bright light, my little light, I'm gonna let it shine. My bright light, pretty little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. Gonna let it shine. Oh, yeah. Oh, this little light of mine. Yeah. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it.
That's how I imagine Isis is. So she got a lot going on. She's very curious, very intuitive, very much like her own person, but she got a personality. It clashes sometimes with her grandma, and you kind of get to see like where that story goes. It's cute because like you think about little Isis, but then also like there's a twist to it. There's a twist. Another theme that's heavy throughout this collection is like heartbreak, but hope at the same time. Like that ledge of heartbreak and hope, almost like a seesaw. That's very heavy in these stories too, towards the end of them. Okay, next we have Spunk. This is one of her more known short stories. There's 2 or 3 in here that I feel like are more known, and Spunk is one of them. Spunk Banks is a man that all the other men in town respect. They all love him. They respect him to some degree. Some of them are scared. Some of them idolize him. Some want to be him. But they all get a man respect and props where it's due. He get what he want. Okay, he that type of dude. But then you got this other man named Joe who is supposed to be like the counter to Spunk. And they're 2 different men, but they represent, I think, masculinity and what it means to be a man. And you got all these men in town trying to decide who's more of a man based on whatever happens in this short story. And so you got Joe, who is your average Joe. Then you got Spunk, who's spunky. And you kind of just get to see these men talk about like the ideas of what it means to be a man. Also, there's an idea that women are worth fighting for, but not in a a loving kind of way, in a I'm gonna conquer and get what I want kind of way. So that's Spunk. Magnolia Flower. This I recently read Is a River Alive. I did a review on it a little while in one of my when I do that review. In my last blog that I did a review. And the whole idea was obviously it's nature, it is alive. But the fact that so many people commune with the land, with nature, it has a rhythm, it communicates, it talks. And so when I read this, that's the first thing that came to my mind because that was so fresh in my mind. The river is alive. The landscape is alive. And you got this main character. She wants to do her own thing. She grows up, she has a mind of her own, but her dad, who wants the best for her, he got different intentions based on the life that he's lived and what he thinks is right. He got a different set of ideas and ideals for his daughter. And you kind of get to see that. Again, it goes back to the role of women, their place, their identity, their autonomy almost. So that was heavy in his book. I actually really liked it because, again, I recently read Is a River Alive, and it was very heavy on those themes. Then you have Black Death. This shows and highlights the differences of how Black and white people view life, how they go about life, how the differences between the two. You got this main character, Bo Diddley, who swear up and down he's like, he think he's so high and mighty and everybody want him and everybody trying to trap him into a marriage. You get to see how that plays out. all of these characters are so dynamic, and she only has a small amount of pages to do so. Like Bo Diddley, even his name, you kind of already can see the direction that that's going. But it just talks about that being swindled. It's a story of heartbreak. It's a story of revenge, like quite a bit of these are. And this one actually takes place, like quite a bit of these, in Eatonville, Florida, which is Zora Neale Hurston's town that she was raised in. Next, you have The Bone of Contention. This also takes place in Eatonville, Florida. It's about a small town ran by a mayor. There's always somebody in the cut that think they can do your job better than you. They think they know better than you, even though you've been here before them and you know what you're doing. It's always somebody in the cut. So that's what that's about. This idea of what is masculinity. And a heavy, heavy idea of justice, the difference between white and black law. In this sense, it means like the actual legal system is white law, and then black law is, community based. It talks about heavily the ideas of like quarreling between different denominations. Quite a bit of these are related to religion in some kind of way. Not all, but quite a bit in some kind of way. But quarreling, like stupid stuff in between denominations, talks about that. That one was good, y'all. I'm getting flashbacks reading this. Next, you have Mutsy. There's this business. It's ran by Ma. It's a front business, but in the back is the real business. They got the real business in the back, okay? Ma runs the shop. And this new girl comes in. Her name is Pinky. She can get any man she wants. She's very beautiful, very gorgeous, but she new to this. And it talks about, again, that sense of autonomy, that sense, an idea of having a choice versus like being forced to do something. And talks about, again, the role of men in women's lives and women in men's lives, and how they're like this conquest, how you're something to be like gained while still at the same time not really recognizing the true value. That one was good. It was funny too. It was funny. Next, you have Sweat. I feel like this is another one of her more well-known ones, I think, mainly because I've heard of it before. But Sweat is about, this is heavy into marriage dynamics. Quite a bit are. Sweat is about a woman getting her voice and her power back. She's in an abusive relationship. Has been. That man is trash. And it is very satisfying. So that's Sweat is good. That was good. Everybody in town know that this man is no good. So much so that people said we should do something about this. She had it. She didn't even have it. That makes me think of like, you really do reap what you sow. Sweat was good. Next, we have Under the Bridge. This one, Luke is married to a woman over half his age. He has a son that is the same age, around the same age as his new wife. That's just a disaster waiting to happen, in my humble opinion. And a disaster it was. You just got to see how this play out. It's so like, I didn't know where it was going at first. This is one I really do wish it was like a longer, story. But it was like, dude, you already knew. And just the idea of like, what is love? Platonic, romantic, what trumps what, what can you suppress it? And if so, like, what's the repercussions of that? So yeah, that one was good. I'm gonna say this about all of them. This one is very short. This is one page. This one is probably the shortest one, I think. Possum or Pig. This one is like, it had that like satire, irony. I feel like I read this and I just think, I don't know for sure. I think like this is kind of something that would have influenced Percival Everett's writing, because it has that wit and that satire and that irony. This man is a servant to his master's house, the white master, black man. And the master thinks that his slave is stealing from him. He got good reason to believe that he's stealing pigs. And you just gotta see like where that goes. Very, very short, but very entertaining. It made me laugh at the end. That final line was hilarious. Then you have the Eatonville Anthology. The Eatonville anthology is a total of 14 even shorter stories, and they basically are, is avatars the right word? They're basically like character analysis, almost really short, like character highlights of people who would live in Eatonville, Florida. And so you got people in the church, you got people who working, you got women, men, cheaters, gamblers, they dancing, they living life, and you just get to see like this small slice of life for each one of these characters. Okay, next I'm gonna merge these together. The Book of Harlem. So one is called Book of Harlem. The other is called The Book of Harlem. I'm gonna merge them together. They both are written in like a biblical verse. They're kind of set up like that, and they're just talking about like the transition from country life to New York, and you kind of get to see it's really bustling, hustling of living in a big city. Okay, then you have The Back Room. This one, old man, this man who's married is creeping around. A lot of these men in this book cheating. They cheating. And it talks about that, how his wife reacts, how the girl reacts, everybody's role, and how the man reacts. Close the door when you're done.
And Dungeon Crawler Carl is top 10 this year.
I hope y'all can hear him.
1 through 6.
He said Dungeon Crawler Carl is top 10 this year, 1 through 6. I'm almost done. You miss me?
Yeah, we just see 20 minutes.
Hey, you can close the door. I'm gonna wrap this up, y'all. My family needs me. They want to admit it. Admit it. You do? Okay. Next, we have Monkey Junk. This is also written like biblical verse, but it is very specific in the topic. It's a woman. First of all, let me go back. It's a man who nobody wants. He think people do. Nobody want him until he get money. And now the people that he attract, they want his money, not him. They want that cash. It just goes over like what that looks like. I just wish so many of these were longer, y'all. I really do. Like, I would have a time. The next one is The Country in the Women. You can take a woman out the country, but you can't take a country out the woman. And the husband in this is doing everything he can to try to take the country out the woman. In this, though, what's cool is that the country is like, to him, it's impeding what he wants to do, so he don't see it as a positive trait. But really, it's somebody who cares about how their husband is treating them. In this one, that's kind of the traits that it embodies. She cares about how her husband is treating her, care about what he's spending his time and laying his head, and she does something about it. So that one was good. Very, very good. The next one is The Gilded Six Bits. A lot of these short stories have a character named Joe in it, if you can't tell. This is another Joe. This Joe is a good man, and he in a good marriage. And then everything changes one day. The grass is not always greener on the other side, and people need to realize that that's what this is about. Decisions were made, and they was the wrong decisions. That one, I wish all of these were a little bit longer. It was good. I really wanted to know like what happened later on in life, like 10 years after the initial thing. But next we have She-Rock. Another story in this collection about a cheating man. He got some eye candy over there. Her name is Sheba. But his name is Oscar, and he married to Caroline. But his wandering eyes, he looking over at Sheba, and it just goes into what happens with that. And then you got the last one, The Fire and the Cloud. This is a story about Moses in the land of Canaan, like mentions of the Jordan River and things like that, and just the struggles of what happens in this. Where Moses lacked and stuff like that. It's very interesting because I was reading that, yes, about Moses and the land of Canaan, but I was also reading it about Joe in Eatonville, Florida. So, yeah, this was good. Very, very good. And look at this. Look how beautiful this is, y'all. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I had a time with this. If any of these were full length novels, I'd be in it. Wrapped up. I would be on it. This was good. I just love like Zora Neale Hurston's voice. The introduction did it justice. They like really gave her her flowers and put some respect on her name and kind of just it did what it needed to do before the short story even started, the collection even started. I appreciated that. It kind of got me amped and hyped to read it to start with. It's gorgeous. Like I still can't get over this. Still. Oh, I can't pick a favorite. It's too many that's too good in too many different ways. So I just had to come on here and talk about all of them. She's very creative, very distinct voice, I was very interested flying through them short stories. They were so good. I was laughing through some of them, cackling, looking at Joe like, you better tighten up. Like so many different things. So if you've read this, let me know. Have you read any of these short stories? Which ones? Let me know, y'all. And I'm going to see you on the next one.